Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode of iTrack. Well, it looks like AI has finally become competent enough to deceive, manipulate, and really just create a stealth takeover. Yeah, they're doing a whole lot of craziness out here, and we're going to take a look at that, along with a lot of other interesting and creepy clips. But before we do any of that, do me the biggest favor and hit that like button for me, hit that hype button, and subscribe if you're not already part of the iTrack fam. And we're going to jump straight into this.
Agents created fake human profiles to try to trick people in attempted cyber attacks. In the most serious case, Anthropic's Mythos tried to gain access to a service by using the fake profiles to send private messages and then hide the evidence. The UK's AI Security Institute says it has never seen this level of autonomy and deception from AI.
Move together as a group instead of just waiting behind a red light if no one's coming. And if there's not enough self-driving cars around, then it would just revert back to normal, red, yellow, green for the humans. Earlier versions of this test needed one central computer running the entire intersection like a brain. But there's a new model that skips the middleman. So the cars themselves can do the coordinating even if there's no central command connection. They don't need to wait for instructions. So they've already started testing this, and the time that you would spend waiting at the light got cut in half. In some cases, it almost disappears. You don't have to wait at lights anymore. Even with just 10% of cars being self-driving, wait times still dropped by about 3%.
Scientists just calculated that the biological hard limit of human life is somewhere around 190 years. That's if all age-related diseases were completely cured tomorrow and the human body would be allowed to break down on its own. This research was done in Russia, and they did this because they wanted to ask themselves a question: what actually stops a human from living forever? They wanted to remove all disease and bring it down to the simplest formula. So here's the mechanism that actually ends human life regardless of medicine. Every time your cells divide, your DNA gets copied billions and billions of times throughout your entire life. And during this entire process, copying errors can happen. These are called somatic mutations, and they're small mistakes in the genetic code. And those cells don't regenerate. Even though they were in error, they stay with you your entire life. And over time, as you get older, they build up, especially in your most vital organs. And there's no way to replace these cells when they degrade. And eventually, the errors reach a critical threshold, which is when organ function starts to impair and systems start to fail. And they calculated that if all disease was eliminated, the average lifespan for a human would be anywhere from 156 to 194 years. But they also ran another test, an extreme case scenario where everything goes well. And they concluded that 627 years is the absolute maximum for a single living individual under the most favorable circumstances. But what do you think of this? If we can finally cure every single disease and you can live to 190 years, would you want to be able to do that? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
I think it definitely comes down to quality of life, and everybody has their own version of it. But definitely tap in and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in.
I want to ask you about a patent, an actual patent that the Walmart Corporation has. This is a patent for a shopping cart, and I think we have a graphic to this effect. This is a patent for a shopping cart that uses sensors to track the speed of your cart, your heart rate, your body temperature, and then feeds it into a server for analysis. I emphasize this is not a joke. This is not, AI didn't invent this, sadly, but AI is going to use it. Walmart has this. Why would Walmart want something like this?
Companies hem and haw and deny that they're using things like surveillance pricing in many settings. But I think if we look at what they do and say in other settings, the technologies they're building and bothering to patent, to get monopoly rights for, to monetize, if we look at what they tell their investors, if we look at the companies they're scooping up, they're buying up AI pricing tech companies who come to market offering new surveillance pricing technologies, it really paints a different picture of where this country is headed and where our economy is headed. This doodle is, pretty horrifying, but it's really just the first step, building out the ability to use, cameras and cooler screens to take a look at what you're doing, to use your grocery cart, to monitor your temperature. All that is feeding into consumer intelligence scores, agitation scores that better estimate how much they can convince you to fork over for every item in that shopping cart.
What the hell? The footage clearly shows that no one is standing near the vehicle or pushing it. There are no ropes, wires, or other devices that could explain how the car suddenly began moving on its own. Even more strangely, it does not even have its rear wheels. Here is what happened next.
Ah, cabrón, amigo, ruido. ¿Qué pedo, qué? Ah, su chingada madre. ¿Y este güey que me viene siguiendo, qué? Shh, párate, cabrón. ¿De dónde vas? Pues ¿quién chingado lo viene manejando a este carro, qué? Si nomás tiene tres pinches llantas. ¿Es el pinche rayador o qué? Cabrón. Ya me está dando miedo.
You have to admit, the strange incidents captured by the junkyard manager are difficult to explain. Still, there has to be a rational explanation for all of this.
Aquí un día lluvioso, trabajando. Holy shit. Se me está yendo el carro. ¡Córrele! ¡Córrele! ¡Alcánzalo, alcánzalo, 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 alcánzalo! ¡Ey! ¡Ey! ¡Espérate! Se me fue, se me fue, se me fue, alcánzalo, ey. Holy shit.
Now that one was pretty odd because there's no real reason why that should have been moving at all. But if you know something I don't, tap in.
What do you call it when a McDonald's worker has to work 2 shifts in a row?
I don't know.
A McDouble.
February the 6th, I was in the Oval Office with the president. Let me read to you something I told him I wanted him to say verbatim, and I described where he should say it, not where a podium existed and a lot of media existed, but I said, I want you to, for example, deliver this statement as you are getting onto Air Force One, and you're about to go through the hatchway through the door, but you stop and talk to the media, and you might say something like, I just want you to hear something. I want to make a statement. And I would said, and this is what I want you to say, Mr. President. A non-human intelligent presence has been on Earth for a very long time, using spacecraft and with performances completely beyond our capabilities and our human physics. And that's it. To say nothing else. That's it. That's all. Because what this is disclosure, and it's actually confirmation, and the two are welded together. These are wedded together, and confirmation has not been officially made by any president that I know of. And has not. They've had different kinds of contact, conversations, and so forth.
That is an eel. Or something in the middle of the road.
Pennywise? I'm summoning you, Pennywise! Pennywise, come out!
Very soon, driver's license pictures, much like this one, will be shared on a national database. And the reason behind this is really to stop crooks from stealing your information. That's the word, according to New South Wales Premier Chris Minns in the Daily Telegraph today. So how exactly would this work? Well, details still a little unclear. The policy yet to be announced, but according to the paper, your picture would be uploaded to this database. Agencies and institutions would then be able to double check you are who you say you are on facial recognition technology. Say you're going into a bank or you're using a bank app, they would be able to cross-reference your driver's license picture with the picture that is being taken there at the time. This is the latest announcement from the New South Wales government in relation to...
I wish this was fake, but unfortunately it's not. And we're going to do this live because I don't want to see any comments that, this is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, or whatever else the bots come up with these days. You can see we're on the Coca-Cola website. You can see the URL right there at the top. This is a live screen mirroring of this laptop right here. We're going to go ahead and customize our Coke can. The first entry we're going to try is the devil is king. No issues with the devil is king. Now let's try Jesus is king. Suddenly, we get an error. You can see here they say, we worked hard to get this right. Now let's try Satan is good. No problems with Satan is good. You can see it populate on the Coke can right here, but it gets better. Let's try Jesus is good. Again, we get that error, and you can go ahead and swap it with other religions. No problems there. No problems there. But this is the best part. We'll swap it back to Jesus is good. Again, we get that error. But what if we were to put Jesus is bad? Suddenly it takes our entry, and you can even put Jesus is evil. And you can see it populate on the Coke can right there. Wow.
Coca-Cola definitely has some explaining to do.
Scientists revealed that they have successfully developed a brand new living virus using AI, with some now warning that this is the first step towards the end of humanity. Multiple United States researchers revealed that they have created 16 new viruses with the help of an artificial intelligence known as EVO2, and laboratory testing shows that the AI-designed viruses were fully functional and even capable of successfully replicating under controlled conditions. These scientists initially claimed that the new viruses pose absolutely zero risk to human beings, before alleging that they're just small, rudimentary viruses with very simplified genetic code that are only capable of infecting tiny bacteria. However, others have pointed out that with this initial breakthrough and the rapid pace of AI development, it's likely that not long in the future, some AI will be intelligent enough to develop a far more complex virus, one that is capable of infecting living human cells.
For the first time ever, scientists used AI to create a virus we have never seen in nature. This all came out in the journal Science, and what it revealed, much like ChatGPT completes the end of a sentence, scientists were able to train an AI model to complete the end of a DNA sequence. Now, scientists have always been able to reassemble DNA sequences, which are like recipes or blueprints for known viruses, and reassemble them in a lab. What's new here is that the AI model created a virus, again, that we have never seen before. Mixed reaction, of course, to all this news. Some in the science community are saying this is incredibly optimistic. Perhaps this could lead to treatments for some of the horrible diseases out there. Others are warning of the dangers, saying without the proper safeguards, scientists could use this to even create a bioweapon.
They've been creating diseases forever. I mean, biochemical warfare is not new. I think the issue is letting AI get a hold of it and then seeing what happens.
Did you know that we have some good things happening in the world? Japan is trialing a new drug that would regrow human teeth, which would remove the need for dentures and implants forever. A cat named Cheddar Big Booty Cheeseburger just won a pet naming contest.
Mr. Big Booty Cheeseburger, what do you think about being famous?
Police in China are using new technology to re-park illegally parked cars instead of just full-on towing them. A woman accidentally said in a grocery store after dropping her phone, and the kid in line behind her immediately repeated it. She turned around absolutely horrified and was ready to apologize to the mother, who was standing there crying. Her son was a non-verbal 10-year-old, and that was his first word. There are over 15,000 canopy bridges that have been built in the Amazon rainforest so that wildlife can safely make it across to other areas. This is a visual NASA just released of a 25-year time lapse of a supernova. It is crazy the things that we're able to look at now.
It's a rock.
Why is it sticking like that?
Okay, I'm gonna go farther. It's really far. I was over here. That's not normal. Which rock was it?
That wasn't it.
That's horrifying. I thought it was in the middle. Did y'all see the lightning?
feels off about this entire Joe Fels situation. Joe Fels was an influencer who suddenly passed on August 3rd at just 40 years old. And as of now, his cause of death still hasn't been publicly released. Joe had been collecting rare sacred last editions of ancient books and was in the process of scanning them and uploading them online for free. Joe believed many of these books contained inconsistencies with the modern version of history and revealed information that most people have never seen. He was also digging into topics like free energy. He also shared a lot of Bibles that, according to him, referred to Palestine as the Holy Land. Joe Fels talked a lot about future plans and how he was healthy, which is what made his passing even more shocking to many of his followers. Supporters online revealed that Joe Fels was prepared to release more of these books right before his passing. Another strange thing I noticed is Joe's girlfriend has been the one posting on his page lately. Because not only is she posting on his page, but she's saying things that Joe didn't even align with. And then what makes it even weirder is when you go to felsbooks.com, the place where you would expect to find all of these book scans. The entire website is blank. There is nothing there when you try to register for free. Now, I am not saying anything for sure, but this whole situation is not sitting right with me. And the more I look into this, the less it adds up.
This is the deepest rabbit hole on planet Earth. I've compiled a collection of Bibles that spans 90 years of history. 3 contain the Apocrypha, Bush-owned Family Bible, 1812. German Bible containing the Apocrypha, 1878. The newest edition of my collection, nobody's seen this one yet. An 1884 Catholic Bible, the first one in my collection, full of newspaper clippings. This is also a reference Bible with an entire section of information not found in a normal Bible. And then my favorite is this 1895 print, another reference Bible that contains biographies of the biblical translators. These books contain a ton of truth, but it's not all the truth, so I expanded my collection. These are the books that are going in my digital library. Ancient Magic, Magnetism, and Psychic Forces, L.H. Anderson, 1895. History of the Jew, Henry Mark Millman, 1866. History of Freemasonry and Concordant Orders by a Board of Directors, 1891. This one's gonna be interesting. Taoist Yoga, Chi Su, 1980s. 17 Remarkable Vignettes in Papua New Guinea. My dad's book about his missionary work in Papua New Guinea. Heroes of European History, Louise Creighton, 1907. Another new edition. Physics and Physiology of Spiritualism, William Hammond, 1871. Am I a Jew or Gentile? Thomas Davies, 1893. The History of Freemasonry, Daniel MacDonald, 1898. The Earliest Gospel, Frederick Grant, 1943. Conversations on the Bible, Enoch Pond, 1889. Magnetism and Electricity, a lab manual by W.M.S. Webb, M.N. States, 1930. 2-volume set, Original Teaching of Zoroaster, Marion Crawford, 1885. Given to me by a 33-degree Freemason, this is the Holman Bible, which is translated from ancient Eastern manuscripts. A very interesting Bible and an interesting translation. Research to find out more. Encyclopedia of Witchcraft and Demonology by Russell Hope Robbins, 1959. People give me hell about this book, but it's part of history. 1967 World Almanac containing tons of economic statistics. Egyptian mythology. Original works of Flavius Josephus, William Wyston, 1872. The Outline of History, H.G. Wells, 1920. Night Scenes in the Bible, Daniel March, 1869. This is a trove of information littered with the breadcrumbs of truth. But remember that truth is like gravity. It does not care if you know what it is, it still applies. I figure if I put 2 centuries worth of print dates full of thousands of centuries worth of information online, we can finally figure it out.
Now, I can agree with them on that. A lot of the real information that we all want to know about is in these books. So his timely demise, as sad as it is, we've seen it time and time again.
What the hell is that? The neighbor said it fell from the sky. I'm gonna go check it out. Over there. Hold on. Wait. Oh shit, what is that? What the hell? Hey, I'm gonna give you my thing, you know what I mean? You already know what to do. Oh shit, what is it? Oh, damn. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Watch the flip-up section of the table in front of the stairs. The camera only activates when motion is detected and the house is empty. The second clip is from the dining room at night. One of the chairs at the end of the table moves out from the table on its own. Nobody in the frame, nobody in the next room. Skeptics in the comments notice something specific about the footage. Every event happens right where the camera's pointed, conveniently centered in frame. The OP confirmed she'd cropped the wide-angle feed to make the events easier to see.
You need to move in silence. Go work out, tell no one. Go on a run, tell no one. Eat clean. I'm talking real whole foods, no seed oils, no bullshit. And tell no one. Read a book, tell no one. Learn some skills, tell no one. Travel the world, tell no one. He who guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from misery.
For myself and others I've spoken to, we saw humans, people in what looked like military uniforms, but without any specific insignias to identify branches. And when I was little, I didn't know about branches of military anyway, So there were always, to me, it was never a question of whether it was humans working with non-human entities. That was always the case. I think there are so many hybrids walking among us, and they've been out here for a long time. This is nothing new.
This one coming in from San Diego, California. Brian Garcia submitted this to our Gmail earlier today. This was captured July 19th. Guys, take a look at this.
This is right now, and this is not Maui. This is Washington. It's crazy how all these trees are standing, but the rims of the cars are melting. We've seen this before. But just wait until I show you what the news was saying not too long ago. So 60,000 people evacuated, 600 buildings burned down so far. It looks like the apocalypse over there. I mean, just everything. We also know there's fires happening all over the world right now. So I'm gonna throw some stuff up on the screen for you to look at with me. We have this picture right here of these rims melting and trees standing right beside. Now we've already gone over all this in certain temperatures and stuff. I think everyone's caught up to speed now. Now in the United States, we've already seen over 1,000 wildfires this year. And again, this is something recent, the last year or two, because we didn't usually see fires this extreme all the time, every day, every week, 5 years ago. But completely unrelated, the news actually posted a crazy story I think we should look at. It's completely unrelated to all this fire right now. But real quick, right before we get into that, we are doing a giveaway, a guitar, a bunch of other stuff, and it's free to enter the raffle. So if you want information about this giveaway or this Patreon raffle, just comment raffle in the comments and I'll reply with a link telling you more information. You can also find information about our new conspiracy book club where I'm taking photocopies of antique books and sending it to you physically every month. Okay, now check this out. This is insane. You remember when they used to say that this thing right behind me was just some kind of theory, Well, check this out. By the way, again, it's completely unrelated, not relevant, totally different subject than what's happening in Washington right now.
It's got a live demonstration of directed energy weapons. He says the Pentagon intends to buy tens to hundreds of these in the coming years. It's the first known viewing of a directed energy weapon demonstration by a sitting war secretary. So what are they? Directed energy weapons fire concentrated energy at the speed of light. And for years, intelligence officials working abroad have reported brain injuries known as Havana syndrome. The condition could be linked to directed energy weapons. Earlier this week, we spoke to Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist.
Oh, it's like Mountain Dew. That's pretty insane, is it not? Because they told us that whole thing didn't exist and now they're putting it on the news. I wonder why, by the way. And also completely unrelated, again, not relevant to what's happening right now. They actually just in Washington blocked a new data center just recently. not relevant.
Walt Disney actually owns all of the like historical references for fairies and all of this fairy like antiques and ephemera. He went and bought it all in the 40s and 50s.
Do you think he's hiding it?
Yes, it's in the Disney vault somewhere. But then he turned it into this weird kind of Tinkerbell empire thing. I have had encounters with them. They are on the one hand playful, but also if you look at real fairy tales, right? Like if you go back and you look at the real fairy tales, that's some dark shit, right? And it's foundationally based in some ancient dark magics. And it can be dangerous. That's all I'm saying. It's not nice and sweet and fly around and flutter your wings and all of that. There's a lot of dark stuff. Well, I mean, look at Changelings and not the HBO show, the real Changelings, right? They would come and they would take your baby and leave another baby.
Swap your babies out?
Yeah. You never heard of Changelings? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was a fairy thing. They would come and take your baby and leave another baby that looked just like your baby, but was not.
Things that the Army has done, whether it's helping with floods in North Carolina, wildfires in California, or we talked to an astronaut yesterday who's on the moon, who's a soldier. To an astronaut yesterday who's on the moon, who's a soldier. Including actually going to war and fighting to defend the freedoms that are that make our nation so great.
Now you can tell he didn't mean to say that, but he definitely said it, and we got to take note.
How is it that after burying people for hundreds of years, we still seem to have a lot of open spots and cemeteries don't seem to fill up? I'm going to try and get through this in under a minute, but for those that don't know me, I am Big Red. I bury bodies and make stupid videos for a living. Now, break out your calculators and turn off your brain. I'm going to go over some numbers. For purposes of this video, I'm just going to use numbers for Minnesota because that's where I bury people. There are about 6,000 recorded cemeteries in Minnesota, but some of those are just going to be like somebody's family buried in the backyard, so we're going to stick to 4,000 just to be safe. No exact size average, but they range anywhere from 1 acre to 450 acres, so we're going to go with an average of 5 acres just to be safe. If you take 4,000 cemeteries and multiply it by 5 acres per cemetery, you end up with 20,000 acres of cemetery. You can fit anywhere from 800 to 1,000 graves per acre of cemetery, depending on the layout. We're going to go with 1,000 just for easy numbers. If you take that 20,000 acres of cemetery and multiply it by 1,000 graves per acre, you end up with 20 million burial plots. In Minnesota, every year on average, 50,000 people die. However, nowadays, about 60 to 70% of people are cremated instead of buried. So if we go with 70% of people being cremated, then that turns 50,000 people into 15,000 burials. Now, if you take 20 million burial plots divided by 15,000 burials per year, it would take you 1,333 years to fill every plot in Minnesota. That's without opening any more cemeteries that entire time.
So apparently scientists are coming out straight from Ukraine saying that they have spotted 20 different UFOs racing to the moon, and they are approximately 15 to 25 miles wide, approximately the size of Manhattan, and they can reach Earth within 20 minutes. They shared images, we also got videos and all that. If you want to see the full video, check it out by clicking the title below. We made the full video on the YouTube channel. It's kind of wild.
It sounds like a scene out of the hit movie Independence Day. Observers in Ukraine are providing some new information about a sighting of possible UFOs operating on or around the moon. The observations came from the year 2025. They were made with a large telescope. The scientists say this object had an enormous size with a diameter of 24 to 40 kilometers. They were either stationary in the above the surface of the moon, or they were moving across the moon. Absolutely unclear what it is. The astronomers have added that they have observed intelligent behavior movements by these objects, which would point to possibly an alien civilization operating them. Of course, none of it is confirmed. NASA maintains that so far there were no credible signs of any life or any alien civilizations on the moon or in our solar system or anywhere else. But of course, this observation has caused some consternation and some excitement really in the UFO community.
Research shows that if you have gray hairs before the age of 30, they're not there by accident. If you already have gray hairs, you're on your way to...
Take a look at this picture of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg with his MacBook. He's got the camera and microphone taped over. Why? Because he's ignorant? No, just the opposite. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu with his iPhone. His cameras are covered in tape. Former FBI Director Jim Comey tapes over his cameras too. The most informed people know that they're being spied on. Do you? Here's the world's second richest man, Oracle's Larry Ellison, literally proclaiming it out loud.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
The future looks dystopian.
Something was up with that. That didn't seem right at all. And I don't know of any illnesses or conditions that cause that. If you do, tap in and enlighten us all.
Pyramid was found in Mexico, but the further they dug, the more questions they had. Like, why does the tip of this pyramid have a mantis alien looking down the planet of Saturn? They also found a sarcophagus with what appears to be a humanoid creature. The more you look at it, the stranger it becomes. Even the walls of the dig site seem to depict human hybrids with what appears to be aliens. Even found strange coins, which indicates that this was once a thriving community and not just a one-off thing. The more they find, the weirder it gets. As far as I know, they are still digging and updating the public as they go. As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird.
Have you ever had a dream that actually came true? Or how about a sudden, unexplainable gut feeling right before something significant happened? Of course, we're all taught that time moves in one direction, like an arrow. You can melt a snowman, but you can't unmelt it. But here's a mind-bending idea. What if your consciousness can actually travel forward and backward in time? You're probably already familiar with moving forward in time. It's called precognition. There isn't strong evidence for it, but researchers have run experiments showing that our brains can spike in activity a few seconds before we're shown a distressing image. Some scientists believe this happens because your brain is experiencing quantum entanglement with its future self, literally reacting to something that hasn't happened yet. But then there's the concept of moving backward. Here's what that means. It's a theory called retrocausality. The basic idea is that time is a solid block where the past, present, and future exist all at once. According to the theory, the intense emotions or regrets you feel today might actually send ripples backward in time, subtly influencing the decisions that you made in the past. Mainstream science hasn't necessarily endorsed these ideas, but the studies comparing the brain to a quantum computer are really captivating. So if you've ever wondered if your mind is secretly capable of time travel, you have to read this story. It might change how you experience reality.
So today a piece of a SpaceX rocket collided into the moon, and not a lot of news outlets are covering it, but I want to talk about it a little bit. For one, people tell me don't worry about it too much. It just caused a little bit of a crater on the moon. It's full of craters anyway, so why do you really care? For one reason I care is because if I throw something out the window of my car and the cops see it, I'm getting a ticket for littering, but these idiot billionaires can launch stuff into space and it just floats all over the place and then collides into the moon. And this one collided into the moon. But what's to stop all this random space junk and debris from changing course and then crashing into the Earth? And y'all should look into space trash because it's actually a bigger problem than they make it out to be. There's a lot of stuff floating around up there. Space trash is another good name for these billionaire cosplay astronauts. Because if one of these crashed into a neighborhood and not just into a random crater on the moon, people would be talking about it a lot more. But instead, we're just letting billionaires launch stuff into space like they're child astronauts because, they have all the money in the world to do that. You're struggling to pay your bills and put gas in your car, but they get to wear their fancy little space suits and look at their rockets launch into the sky. And I'm just saying, people, this did crash into the moon. But what happens if one crashed into the Earth? Are we just going to ignore it and just say, oh, it was just another space debris? I know there's a bunch of billionaire cucks out there that would completely just, ignore the fact that something crashed into the moon because their rich little space boy that they love so much, it was their rocket, so it's fine. But, yeah, a rocket did crash into the moon today.
You believe in God? Everything you know is not because of a scientific theory. Whatever reality is, infinitely transcends what science could do. At some point in your life when you were 2, someone said, Jesse, that's green. And you looked and you go, oh, okay, that's green. Someone pointed to a rabbit and said, that's a rabbit. And if you think about what went on there, it's a miracle. What could you possibly mean by rabbit? And yet at the right age, someone points, says rabbit, just once or twice is all you need typically, and you get it. This is called learning by ostensive definition. So I'm going to use ostensive definition. Here's what I think God is. Ask yourself the question, I wonder what my next thought will be, and then just wait. What happened?
It was sort of silent for a little bit.
That's the best pointer I can give for what I mean by God. What I'm pointing to is just the raw awareness in which all these things arise. Colors, the sounds, the emotions, the thoughts. That awareness is what I think is God, and it cannot be described.
But I'm looking at your shirt and I'm looking at the chair, and there are all these things that I have superimposed ideas about, but it's impossible for me to like strip my preconceptions about those things while I'm processing them.
Someone like the Dalai Lama might be able to, right? Someone who has been spending years in meditation would be able to say, I can just be, and no content. I think it's accessible to all of us, but it's something that requires practice to let go.
If you drink diet soda, that can increase your risk of dementia. A recent study showed that for each additional diet soda that you drink in a day, that was linked to about a 34% higher dementia risk. And for people drinking more than one a day, they had several times the risk compared to people who rarely drank it. Now that sounds alarming, but there are important caveats to this. Number one is that this was an observational study, which means that it shows association and not causation. And when researchers excluded people with obesity or diabetes, the relationship weakened a lot. And that suggests something we call reverse causation, where people with certain metabolic problems, like diabetes, for example, often switch to diet soda. And those same conditions already increase dementia risk. And we've seen similar findings in the past from other studies where daily artificial sweetened drinks were linked to higher dementia and stroke risk. But again, these studies cannot prove that sweeteners themselves are the cause. So the honest takeaway is that diet soda is probably better than large amounts of sugar, but drinking multiple cans a day of anything ultra processed is probably not ideal for long-term brain health either. And for your brain, the safest drinks are still the boring ones, like water and moderate amounts of coffee or tea.
Shit, I don't need to see shit. And I don't need to talk to nobody either. I can't stand motherfuckers.
All the things that can be haunted, this is probably the first of its kind. First, the security camera of a residence caught a moment where a bike moved on its own before falling to the ground. Then another clip of the same bike was filmed and shared by another source where it was seen moving on the road and on its own.
BrainCo unveiled its latest intelligent bionic hand at World Artificial Intelligence Conference 2026 in Shanghai, showcasing advanced, non-invasive brain-computer interface technology. The new bionic hand is lighter and more compact at just 383 grams, uses neural and myoelectric signals to control all 5 fingers independently, offers 0.1 degrees precision, a grip strength of at least 50 newtons, and can lift up to 20 kilograms. It also features an optional lifelike skin cover for a more natural appearance.
一个 rock and roll 吧。哇 ，rock and roll 太酷了，真的。
BrainCo says its non-invasive BCI prosthetics have already helped thousands of people with disabilities regain independence and return to work through a government-backed initiative in China.
I don't accept food from strangers anymore because one time one of my coworkers brought in heirloom tomatoes and I love tomatoes, so I took them home and I ate them, and like I came back the next day and I'm like, what did you do to get these heirloom tomatoes like so good? And she's like, you want to know the secret? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you can't tell anybody else. I'm like, okay girl, I got you, I got your secret. She's like, they grew in my mom's garden and her septic tank broke. I said, girl, what? Her septic tank? She goes, yeah, her septic tank broke, and so all of her poop water essentially just got in the garden this year, and like the vegetables grew better than ever. And my jaw was on the floor, and I was like, are you kidding? She's like, no, like my mom's poop fertilized the garden so well. Weren't the tomatoes amazing? And I didn't talk to her anymore. I didn't talk to her anymore because that girl kept bringing in vegetables for weeks and weeks and weeks, and she was so happy about it. She's like, the garden's just so fruitful. We can't eat it all ourselves. This girl was feeding all of us at work her mom's poop garden. Her mom's poop garden. I don't accept food from people no more.
Oh no, we can't be friends anymore. can't be friends anymore. It's absolutely horrifying and disgusting all at the same time. All at the same time.
That one. You're not gonna make it. Ooh, you ain't gonna make it. You gonna hit. Oh, he hitting it. Oh, nice and slow too. He think he not hitting that car, but he is. Oh, he's so vicious. You hit it. I don't want to hear it. You hit it. That. He hit it or what? Nicer than no. Who driving that bus? That should, man, that some skills. That was, I couldn't even put a dollar bill between those two pieces.
When you pass away, do you know what the last part of your body that stops working is? The pupils. They dilate.
The strange thing about angels is that people in the Bible were terrified of them. Not comforted, not amazed, terrified. Almost every time an angel appeared in Scripture, the first words spoken were, "Do not be afraid," because angels were never described as harmless little figures. They were powerful, overwhelming, radiant messengers carrying the authority of heaven itself. The Bible describes angels appearing beside blazing fire, standing in empty tombs, and announcing the judgment of nations. Even soldiers fell to the ground in fear before them, and maybe that's what makes angels so strange today. Modern culture turned them into soft symbols and decorations. But in Scripture, their presence reminded people of something terrifying, that heaven is real and humanity stands before a power far greater than itself.
There's a scripture, if you don't believe in the physicality of the whole UFO, UAP phenomena, if you think that abductions really don't happen, that it's all demonic delusion, then you've got to throw out Genesis 3:15, Genesis 6, the Nephilim, Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. They were here. They're here now. They are walking amongst us. And Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah, which this is why the proper exegesis of Genesis 3:15 is so important. But then when you hop over to Daniel 2:43, their seed will mingle with the seed of men. Whose seed are we talking about? We're talking about the fallen angels. It's not, the guy down the street. It's fallen angels. And it ties right back into the Genesis 3:15 narrative.
10 years from now, we'll get this robot wave, and pretty soon you'll have the robots walking around, and the cost to move furniture around, or the cost to paint your drywall, or the cost to install a door is going to fall exponentially as well. Just like the cost to get from point A to point B will fall when the cars drive themselves. And it seems pretty clear the car's going to drive themselves. So certain things are going to get exponentially cheaper. On the other hand, it costs you $50 million an acre for an acre of beachfront property in Palm Beach. Why? Well, because the robots can't make beachfront property in Palm Beach, right?
Now, he made a good point. And this is why money will always be important. Because, robots can't make land. They can make houses, but they can't create the view.
What is a skinwalker? A skinwalker is a shape-shifting demonic entity. It's essentially a Native American witch or warlock that sells their soul in exchange for immortality, the ability to take on the skin or shape-shift, oftentimes in the form of a wolf, a dire wolf, or a werewolf-like creature, but they can also take on the shape of other animals as well. The Native American community, they don't like to discuss it. To even say the name skinwalker is negative. Skinwalkers to the Native Americans in the Uinta Basin are just as real as this chair.
If you really read into this and look close, like he's saying, Mickey and his alter ego, right? He is drawing the mouse. He is the mouse.
I don't believe that.
Look, he's got Mickey in the water, trapped in the water. He's even got Mickey trapped in the water. This is giving psychopath. This is giving psychopath. And he's owned by who? America. Here's the shield of the fucking eagle.
I don't know who that lady is. I don't know what she's talking about. She seems like she had a long day. Clearly she's joking around. Maybe Walt Disney is Mickey Mouse. I don't know about that. I'm not thinking about that. I was only thinking about Mickey Mouse when I was younger. Something's going on here, guys. She was putting things together that did not exist. People have been saying a lot of things about Walt Disney for a while now, guys. For a long time. That lady, other people. But like I said, guys, that's all allegedly stuff. That doesn't mean that it's real. There's been a lot of theories about this, which is not true. Let's not forget that, guys, because people's always coming up with theories. That's just somebody's opinion, all right? Walt Disney allegedly was a good person. Opened up Disney World, did a whole bunch of movies, Disney Channel, stuff like that, guys. Something's going on with Walt Disney. Clearly that lady pointed something out. That's not true, right? But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. Don't believe nothing that lady says. That's just a lady on the internet. Let me know what you think about this, bro, because she was putting things together that didn't make no sense, for real. I'm out.
Here's some amazing footage of one of the rarest birds on Earth coming face to face with another of its own kind. This is the kagu, a bird found only on the island of New Caledonia, where fewer than 2,000 of them are believed to remain in the wild. Unlike most birds, kagus can barely fly, instead relying on dramatic crest displays and synchronized dances like this to communicate, defend territory, and strengthen pair bonds. Conservation efforts have helped bring the species back from the brink of extinction, making sightings like this possible once again. Here's a clip of what's believed to be the largest gathering of orcas ever filmed. The incredible scene was captured by Tony Meyer off the coast of northern Norway, where hundreds of killer whales converge to feed on massive schools of herring. Rather than hunting alone, the orcas work together to herd the fish into massive bait balls before taking turns feeding, creating one of the most spectacular predator gatherings ever recorded. Despite being apex predators capable of taking down great white sharks and even other whales, there are no confirmed cases of wild orcas intentionally killing a human. The only fatal orca attacks on humans have happened in captivity.
Do people with mental disturbances actually have quote-unquote crazy eyes? Or is that just a nasty stereotype? Interestingly, Hendricks and colleagues found that children with ptosis, where the eyelid droops over the eyes, are 2.5 times more likely to develop mental illnesses. And Buffin's review of the literature concludes that individuals with strabismus, where one eye points in a different direction, are at least 10% more likely to develop a mental illness. But this sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Why would your eyes have anything to do with your mental health? Before we explain the science, it's important to note here that you absolutely cannot make assumptions. Most people with ocular disorders do not have notable psychiatric challenges and vice versa, but some people are mistreated based on their looks during childhood, and this could enhance their risk of mental illness developing as adults. Plus, sometimes ocular abnormalities are caused by childhood injuries that may have also caused brain damage. And finally, some genotypes associated with ocular abnormalities also increase one's risk for mental illness, such as the case of 22q11.2 deletion syndrome. So this stereotype may be derived partly from anecdotal observations of a real association between ocular and mental disorders. But even admitting that, it'd be pretty foolish to make inferences about someone based on their eyes.
Why does time seem to pass faster the older that you get? Let's talk about it. First, there's the proportional theory, which was coined by a French philosopher named Paul Genet in 1897. When you're 5 years old, 1 year represents 20% of your entire life, so that single year feels massive. But by the time that you're 50, 1 year is only 2% of your life. Your brain measures time relative to your total lived experience, which makes each subsequent year feel like a smaller fraction of the whole. Second, and even cooler, is your brain's internal frame rate. A 2019 study by Duke University professor Adrian Bejan found that as our neural networks age and grow more complex, electrical signals have to travel longer, more degraded paths. Because of this, the rate at which your brain processes visual images slows down. When you're young, your brain is literally capturing more mental frames per second, which makes life feel more rich and stretched out. And as you age, you capture fewer frames per second, so the time just feels like it's speeding right past. When you combine that lower frame rate with the repetitive, mind-numbing routines of adult life, your brain just stops encoding new sensory details. It essentially compresses your days into small, zip files of memory. So if you want to slow time back down, break your routine, and seek out new experiences, because your life is ticking away.
At first, I thought it was a groundhog until I took a closer look. A woman in Russia recorded a bizarre creature that people are saying is a skinwalker caught mid-transformation. And this is for entertainment purposes. At first, her dogs noticed something unusual and couldn't stop barking. That's when she stepped outside and pulled out her phone. The strange creature can be seen moving across the ground, and even the dogs seem confused at what they're looking at. The way that it was moving and screaming is not normal. Leaving viewers split over what they were actually watching. And the video ends before anyone can get any closer, leaving the internet with more questions than answers. Is this a strange looking animal caught at the right timing, or something far more mysterious?
That definitely looked like a groundhog, but just a little bit off. If you know something I don't, tap in.
A quiet night of fishing turned into something far stranger once the water itself started glowing. While navigating dark water, a boat owner noticed a large glowing mass just beneath the surface. casting light upward as though something artificial rested on the seabed. Marine life continued moving normally around it, and the water showed no sign of heat or disturbance, ruling out a typical bioluminescent bloom. True ocean bioluminescence does exist, produced by dinoflagellates and deep-sea organisms, but it usually appears as a diffuse shimmer rather than a single concentrated light source like this one. Whatever was glowing beneath that boat, it didn't behave like anything documented before.
What's your single best evidence of reincarnation?
There's that girl that when she first was able to start speaking, she told her family that she died in a past life. They went to the Philippines, they found where her body was dug up, and they ended up arresting the guy that she found in her village that killed her.
That's interesting. I would just wonder if reincarnation was the most likely explanation for that. You've got to really be convincing. And often when people want to believe something, they're not as good at filtering the things that could argue against it. And it's just a bias we have. Let's chalk this up as evidence for reincarnation. I don't have a problem saying that, but I would wonder whether a full analysis was given for any other way that could have been true. And if reincarnation is as prevalent as those who believe in it say it is, there should be a billion of those examples you can draw upon, which then leads me to think there must be some extraordinary but not supernatural explanation for this.
There's an interesting theory surrounding Scarface that says karma was the real reason for Tony Montana's downfall. If you're familiar with the film, Tony starts off working for Frank, a powerful rug dealer who is already respected and well established. Frank gives Tony an opportunity when Tony had nothing, but instead of showing loyalty, Tony quickly starts disrespecting him. Right away, Tony flirts with Frank's wife, Elvira, and makes it clear that he sees Frank as weak. He even says that one day he is going to take his place. Supporters of this theory believe that Tony was ungrateful from the beginning. Frank gave him a chance, helped him rise, and introduced him to powerful people like Sosa. Without Frank, Tony may have still been working at the food stand as a dishwasher, but instead of respecting the man who opened the door for him, Tony wanted his money, his power, and his woman. And in the end, the same disloyalty Tony showed Frank came back to him. Tony betrayed the person who helped build him, and later, everyone around Tony either betrayed him, turned on him, or left him alone. That is why fans believe Tony's downfall was not just about power or greed, it was karma. Tony took Frank's empire the wrong way, and eventually, the empire took everything from him.
Yeah, Tony was a man unhinged. I think he definitely had it coming from many different ways. But I still would have liked to have seen him win, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Even the best survivalists in the world could only last like 3-4 months by themselves. Almost nobody can survive on their own. Almost nobody. Even the top people in the world. So we are literally, our lives depend on other people. And if you want a good life, you need to be able to get along with other people and learn how to help them help you, and vice versa.
And again, what at first looks like a person sitting cross-legged in a field quickly becomes something a whole lot stranger. The person stands up and appears to change into a funnel of black mist. It then appears to look down the well right as another strange black orb flies off to the left. While it's possible the low compression rate of the security camera could be causing the person to distort, there is something about the way they peer into the well that seems wholly unsettling. Whatever it is, it looks to slink about, and it even has glowing eyes at the very beginning of the clip. Unfortunately, that's all we know about this clip. It's lacking any solid information, so it's impossible to dig deeper into the sighting. So, unless more info comes to hand, this unsettling sighting will have to remain a mystery.
You don't want to live forever so that you can actually get to Mars?
I definitely don't want to live forever.
How many years do you want to live?
I don't know, 100 good ones.
100 good ones or 100 more good ones? You're 44?
I mean, 100 good ones in total I think is probably fine, and maybe a bit longer.
Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for always stopping by, watching, and learning with me. If you haven't already, do me the biggest favor and hit that like button for me. Hit that hype button and subscribe if you're not already a part of the fam. And I will definitely catch you on the next one.